So, last night in Washington, D.C., two people who work at the embassy were brutally shot and killed, and they were murdered in the name of Palestine with a chant that sounds very, very familiar to all those people who have seen the stuff that people have shouted on college campuses for 2 years now. He literally went there, he shot these two people, and then he shouted "Free, free, free Palestine" in the very campus format of shouting that stupid slogan. Did you see those videos at all, David? Do you have any idea?
The only thing I saw was the video of it was from Twitter, but I saw the video of the guy yelling the Palestine slogan when he was being arrested or something like that. It's the only clip I saw.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. So here, this went around. So as soon as this happened, this was actually published right after it happened, as the arrest was ongoing. You can see this guy here after shooting them. He's being arrested, and he said,
"Outside!"
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
So here's a very, very significant thing about this. He isn't just shouting "Free Palestine," right? What he's doing here is he's shouting "Free Palestine" in the way that we have seen it on college campuses and on the whole pro-Palestine, Free Palestine protests for quite a while now. It is that very same thing. It is
it's one of their main chants. It's one of their main chants. They got from the river to the sea. Then they got the free, free Palestine.
Yeah, it sounds very dumb. I don't know why they're doing that. It sounds very, very stupid. But that's literally what he's doing. So he went there directly in line with the pro-Palestine, Free Palestine chants and protests that we have heard for the longest time now. It wasn't just some random fringe Free Palestine action. We have also seen, of course, people everywhere on social media praising this or mocking the dead and things like that. So the facts here are this guy, the guy's name is Elias Rodriguez. He is from Chicago, and he went to the event that was organized where Jewish people and others meet to specifically go and target Israelis, Jews, and to kill them right there for Palestine. Apparently, that was going to be a very, very fantastic action, which would eventually, of course, free Palestine from whatever it is oppressed by. Some very, very big geniuses, independent journalists like Adam Media here, have said Elias, Jewish name, was a member of the Party of Socialism and Liberation. It is common knowledge that PSL is filled with feds, false flag. As soon as the thing happened, as soon as the attack happened, people started spreading this idiotic idea that it's a false flag attack. Of course, the reasoning here also doesn't get much smarter than this, which is his name is Elias, which is a Jewish name. Therefore, he's probably a Jew, and this is probably a false flag attack. David, David.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm Jewish because my name's David. What's your point?
I really don't know what to say sometimes, you know. Like, this is the reasoning. Elias, Jewish name, therefore Jew, therefore...
Hey, you know what else is a Jewish name? Adam.
Yeah. Every biblical name, like every name that comes from the Bible, every name that has something that is from the Bible is Jewish. And by the way, you know what else is Jewish then? Jesus. And I'm pretty sure this guy is going around saying Jesus was a Palestinian. So it's so stupid, man. But anyway, so the guy went there for terrorism. Went and killed 2 people deliberately in a horrible act, a crime against humanity. And the thing is that the 2 people murdered were completely randomly targeted and were very, very peaceful people who were all about dialogue and all about peace. So we have here gunned down Israeli embassy staffer Sarah Milgram worked on peace building between Palestinians and Israelis. Her grieving father says that's the irony. So
Hang on. So you're saying it's the exact same irony of Hamas massacring Jews in those kibbutzes.
Precisely.
It's the same irony. They're not going out and killing people who are longing for the annihilation of Palestinians or something like that, or people who want war or something like that. They're killing people who are peaceful and want to get along.
That's true. It is directly no, I don't know what the chat is discussing, but Elias is from Elijah, not from Elisha. It's from Elijah. It's the Greek version of the biblical Hebrew name Elijah, which literally means "my God is Yahweh." So that's what it is.
Outside.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Yeah, absolutely. We just got to move on.
Go. Number. So let's look a little bit into this story. Sarah Milgram worked on peace building between Palestinians and Israelis. Her grieving father says that's the irony. The father of the bride-to-be, who was killed along with her boyfriend near the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., said his daughter was working to bring Israeli-Palestinian peace and more aid to Gaza before being gunned down by a suspect who later yelled, "Free, free Palestine." This is her. Robert Milgram, 73, slammed suspect Elias Rodriguez's alleged motives as blatantly anti-Semitic and of no help to Gaza, given that his daughter, Sarah Milgram, 26, was dedicated to helping Palestinians.
Got a point. This is not helping anyone in Palestine. The only people this is helping are the people who just want people dead at all costs, like death cult people. So Hamas would be a fan of this, but
there is allegedly a manifesto online that is going around, but so they were attending an event in which she also was there specifically to talk about the aid in Gaza and all that. So it's very, very ironic that some terrorists would go to a peace activist, somebody who is actually in an important political position, right, and who works for peace and for rights for everyone. She is being targeted and she is being killed as a result of this pro-Palestine terrorism. Prior to her start at the embassy, Sarah worked for Tech to Peace in Tel Aviv, conducting research on peace-building initiatives between Israelis and Palestinians. My passion lies at the intersection of peace building, religious engagement, and environmental work, Milgram wrote on LinkedIn. Milgram said the killings have left his family completely wrecked, especially after learning that Lishinsky was planning to propose to Sarah next week. So this is also the part of the story. The two were a couple. They were a couple. They were supposed to They were together for a while. He was planning on proposing to her, and they were getting ready to get married. So his name is Yaron Lishinsky, and her name was Sarah Milgram, and he was preparing on proposing to her, and they were supposed to go together on a trip to Israel, where they would then announce this to their families and plan on getting married. So this is what they were doing. The thing also about this issue is that it got really, really interesting very quickly. Of course, the guy goes there and specifically seeks out and targets and shoots and kills 2 Jewish Israelis. And then, however, after a little bit of development, it turns out that these 2 are not just Jewish Israelis. The guy, Yaron Lishinsky, he was actually born in Germany into a Jewish and Christian family. His father was, I think, his father is Jewish and his mother is Christian, and he is actually a devout Christian. It's kind of unclear whether he's identified as Messianic Jewish. The Messianic Jewish community has kind of claimed him and said that he was very well known and was a very devout guy. So he was Messianic Jewish, or in some way Protestant evangelical Christian, and was a very firm believer in the state of Israel. Believed it is his duty to go and help them. Went to Israel to serve in the IDF just because he wanted to. And she, as far as the information is out there, was simply regular American Jewish, possibly Reformed Jewish, but the Messianic Jewish groups said that they were both known to be Messianic. It might be that she adopted Christian beliefs before or after they met. So they are both claimed by the Messianic Jewish group as Messianic Jewish believers in Christ. So as this terrorist, this anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, anti-America terrorist went down there and targeted and shot and killed these 2 Jewish Israelis, that was his whole purpose, right? That's who he was going for. He actually killed 2 Christian Jews, and there are some sick, messed up people online who kind of celebrated and said, "Oh, I don't care about dead Jews." No, it's not just dead Jews. It's actually dead Christians and dead Jews and dead Israelis and dead Americans. When is it enough with this terrorism? I don't know. Maybe the aspect of them being Christian will at least make some people care about this a little bit more, because people seem to have stopped caring about Jews these last few years. I don't know.
No, that won't happen. That won't happen either, AP, because the people who would want Jews dead would also want anyone who supports them in any way dead.
I know. That's true. So there is not much hope, but we didn't even know about it. She was leaving on Sunday to Israel to meet his family. They were going together, Milgram said. She was happier now than she was ever in her life. She was truly in love with Yaron and vice versa, he added. Now here is the terrorist. Elias Rodriguez, a leftist activist, was detained at the scene. Rodriguez, a Chicago native, is accused of gunning down the couple as they were leaving an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum. When I first heard that it was a Hispanic guy from Chicago who was also possibly gay, I thought it was Nick Fuentes, but it turned out it had nothing to do with him. So I'm kind of surprised, actually.
Although it might be Nick Fuentes' boyfriend, for all we know.
It could be. That's what's happening. Let's go and read some further reports on this. I actually want to watch something here. So here is CBN News that also jumped on this and interviewed a few people that actually knew the 2, Sarah and Yaron, and they talked to some people who were familiar with these 2 people. Let's have them.
as the Messianic body, we just feel like, I mean, it's one of us. It's one of our own. I mean, I was putting my babies down to bed tonight, and you just think about it. You think like, my boys are in the Lord's hands, and who knows what's going to happen with any of our lives. You know, and we're here in a war zone right now. So I was in my bomb shelter today, as many people around the area were. We've been multiple times recently, and you just know and trust the Lord. We trust God, that God has a plan and a purpose, and our days are numbered. But that every day that we live, we want to glorify God and share of his love and help people to know that we, as hard as it is, we can have hope in him.
The 2 Israeli diplomats who were murdered last night in Washington, D.C., were Jesus followers. Vanessa Mestreda, who was part of Yaron Lachinsky's congregation, joins us now from Jerusalem. First off, I'm just so incredibly sorry, sis. How are you processing this horrific news?
Yeah, it was devastating to wake up to. We all woke up to the reality of knowing that.
So very evidently, very, very evidently, two people who were who it's kind of interesting. When I first posted about this morning, that they were seemingly Messianic Jewish or Christian, lots of people were like, what is that? So today, interestingly, lots of people are learning about what Messianic Jews are. But just to give a little background on that, it would be probably interesting to have somebody on to talk about this. A Messianic Jew. Didn't you have an interview with somebody? Who was that? What was his name? Was it Cantor something? You're muted. Yeah. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Am I?
Yeah. What was his name?
I've spoken to multiple Messianic Jews. Yeah, you're thinking of Ron Cantor. There's also, there's also these guys, 2 Messianic Jews. I'm supposed to be on with them in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah. So, for those who don't know, I'm not terribly informed about Messianic Jews. I just know the basics on them. But basically, people of Jewish background and Jewish heritage who become Christian or believe in Jesus as the Messiah, but then keep much of their Jewish tradition and Jewish practices while also being Christians. David, is that about right? You're probably the expert on Messianic Jews.
Yeah, go with that.
Okay, good. So that seems about right. Yeah.
2 people were murdered last night in Washington, D.C., and then you wake up to finding out that you know them and know their family. And it was really difficult. I have a WhatsApp group with our staff with Firm, and you had so many people telling stories about how they grew up with him and know him. And it's heartbreaking, to recognize you have this young guy who was super passionate about being an advocate for Israel and was in DC really to be able to just share about his love for Israel and who he is as an Israeli. And then, just out of nowhere gets murdered for being at an event. It's been an extremely heavy day and extremely heartbreaking to think about the grief that his parents and his siblings must be experiencing and all of his friends. And it's just, it's really, really overwhelming.
So the reports are that, they were weeks away from getting engaged in Jerusalem. I know I cover a lot of heavy stories, but this one is, anyway, I'm not going to let myself go there right now, but as a Messianic believer, it's a small community, and you lead an organization that's really active. It's called Firm, the Fellowship of Israel-Related Ministries. Correct me if I'm wrong. How has kind of already answered this, but how has the Messianic community in Israel, I guess the word, been handling this just horrific news?
Yeah, well, first of all, communication is everything. So we've got, our phones are blowing up with all the different groups that we're on. My congregation also is spreading the news and talking about how we can support his family and to, come over to his parents' house and to make them meals and all of that. And so there's the support. But I think just as a Messianic community, it brings us together because it's one of our own. This is a guy who made Aliyah when he was 16 from Germany. And so then he just automatically got in with a friend group. And I've been here for many years. I'm an immigrant from America. And I remember he had a strong friend group. They were all just super close and loved God and loved Yeshua and just were passionate about really making an impact. And I remember actually he went out to lunch with my husband multiple times. I think for a little bit we were trying to recruit him to figure out, what are you wanting to do with your life, you know? And you know, Michael would always come home and he's really passionate about politics. He's really passionate about advocacy. So however we can help him, you know, to really fulfill.
So yeah, that's the background of it. So they were both they were
what God had
they
said.
were very, very passionate and very active, very happy couple. They were preparing to actually get married. They were preparing to get engaged at least. They were both very, very good advocates of Israel, but also of peace with the other side. And this is the regular pattern that we have seen again and again. Even David and I, when we went to Israel, we regularly see how on the Israeli side you have lots of people who. So on the Israeli side, you see that the people are very, very firmly advocates for Israel, but at the same time, they want to stand up for peace with the Palestinians and still want to be charitable and give them the benefit of the doubt and find a way to make peace with the so-called Palestinian people. You barely get that same reaction from the other side. You see so many Israelis being so devout to Israel, but also trying to make peace and trying to find a good solution, a good way to protect the rights of the Palestinians and to understand each other and to find peace together. But the other side then, as soon as they get the chance, kills the peace activists. This is how it goes. And then from the rest of the world, we hear about how those Israelis who are peace advocates were actually these very, very evil guys. They are then depicted as the evil ones. This is also one of the great shocking things that I guess kind of moved me and kind of confused me really badly when we went to Israel, because I always did have very good opinions of Israel and of Jews, but then we went there and I am overwhelmed with how good these people actually are compared to what people say about them all the time. And it doesn't really make sense. When I think about it, I still think it's very strange that there is a trend in the world that these Jewish people seem to be so good and charitable, but then the response to them is from the rest of the world is basically that they are these evil people, evil bunch who deserve to be killed, and they are behind all the evil stuff in the world. I don't want to sound like it or say it, but I feel like it's almost too strange, and there's almost something bigger and weirder out there, something spiritual. I don't know what exactly it is, but some completely irrational and unnatural hate toward Jews, despite them doing whatever they can to be as good as possible. And it's incredible, absolutely incredible. I know David agrees with all of what I just said. So
Actually, I was looking up the guy from that CBN clip who's doing the interview. I was like, that dude looks really familiar. So I was looking up who that was. But yeah, I did a show with him. But it was on TBN, not CBN. So anyway.
what is TBN?
It's another Christian network. What's the T stand for? Trinity? Trinity Broadcasting Network?
I don't know. It's probably Talmudic.
Yeah, Trinity Broadcasting Network. Yeah, we did a show. Did a show with him. That's why he looked familiar. But anyway, I had to find him because that's a different network.
So here we have more information on who the two victims were. Lishinsky and Milgram often attended Jewish events in Washington and had planned to move in together in July, according to friends and others who knew them. They were scheduled to fly to Israel to meet his parents in the coming days, so we assumed it was very serious, Robert Pilgrim, Sarah's father, said in an interview. But there was more. Yechiel Leiter, Israel's ambassador to the United States, later told Sarah's parents that Lishinsky had bought an engagement ring last week. He hoped to propose in Israel. On Wednesday, as they often did, the couple went to a diplomatic reception at the Capitol Jewish Museum in D.C. As they stepped out onto a quiet street, a gunman opened fire and killed the couple, according to the police. Instead of walking you down the aisle, we are walking with you to your graves, Israeli embassy spokesperson Tal Naim wrote Thursday on X. Lyshinsky's friends, professor, and family described him as a quiet intellectual who cared deeply about his religion, Israel, and building bridges among communities. Lyshinsky, the son of a Jewish father from Argentina, who later moved to Israel, and a Christian mother from Germany, who was born in Israel but moved to Nuremberg, Germany, at a very young age. His older brother Hanan Lyshinsky said in a brief interview, Yaron, who also had a German passport, was the second oldest of 5 siblings. Growing up in a dual faith, home influenced Lyshinsky's desire to go into diplomacy, his friends and professors said. He identified as Christian, but periodically attended Sabbath services with his girlfriend. Oh, okay. So he identified as Christian, but periodically attended Shabbat services with his girlfriend. So his girlfriend then probably still attended Sabbath services and probably was still, I don't know. Nissim Utmagazin Din.
No, that could mean Jewish or Messianic Jewish.
Yeah, could be too. I don't know. Nisimot Mazgendin of Humanities at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem said Lyshinsky spoke 4 languages and saw his diverse cultural background as an advantage, especially in diplomacy. Soccer together, Japanese for years. He was what we call a mensch, said Ronan Cheval, Dean, and so on. His friends in D.C., including fellow embassy workers and young people he met in the Jewish community, said Lyshinsky loved taking photos of the small things other people missed and having deep conversations about religion and philosophy. Sounds like you, David. He had a clever sense of humor, said Joseph Milstein, who met Lyshinsky through a conference about the Iranian diaspora. He had this intellectual curiosity of people from different cultures and backgrounds that was so special. And she was a perfect daughter. Children's chorus for lyric opera in Kansas City, playing the violin. She graduated from Shawnee Mission East High School in 2017 before enrolling in the University of Kansas.
Gosh, she just graduated in 2017.
Yeah. Kennard said her best memories with Milgram are of days spent dog sitting Kennard's dogs. As soon as you met Sarah, she just had a way of putting you at ease, like there was such a light about her. She also spent time in Tel Aviv working for Tech to Peace, which is the peace organization, bringing Israelis and Palestinians together in peace-building initiatives. She was a Zionist, loved Israel, and loved Palestinians. She was a peacemaker, her father said. She had a good heart, and she showed it. This is I purposely put Zionist in my bio back a few weeks ago because I felt like I want to continue using that, because especially over the last few years it has become kind of like an insult because of all the propaganda, the word Zionist. But this is literally what it is. You are a Zionist if you simply stand for Israel and Israel's right to exist. And if you are like her, you are simply a Zionist. You can be a Zionist who stands for Israel and who loves the Palestinians and who works toward peacemaking with them and finding solutions together. But the Islamic terrorists have turned the word Zionism into a very, very bad thing, with the support of the far left and the Nazi propagandists. Anyway, friends say Milgram and Lyshinsky brought out the best in each other. Milgram, an outgoing planner, might initiate a conversation, they said. Lyshinsky was more reserved and would add an inquisitive thought to deepen it. So very, very nice people, very sweet people. May their memory be eternal and a blessing. And the terrorist may get what he deserves. There are some very, very sick details about the killing. So he has been charged now with the murder of two people, planned and carried out. But there is something described here in the files which I briefly just want to have a look at. So here is her once again, and here's what it says. On scene, MPD officers were able to review surveillance video from immediately before and during the shooting that captured the exterior of the museum. In summary, the video shows a slim-built person wearing a blue jacket with a hood and large dark-colored backpack, blue pants, and light-colored shoes, consistent with the clothing worn by Rodriguez, walking across F Street Northwest in the direction of the museum, and where the descendants were standing, preparing to enter the crosswalk. Once Rodriguez walked past the dissidents, and dissident. How do you say that? Do you say dissidents?
I've never actually heard that word pronounced in my life, so
Yeah, so I'll just read it as dissidents. And the two witnesses, he turned to face their backs and brandished a firearm from the area of his waistband. Rodriguez is captured on the video extending both his arms in the direction of the dissidents and firing several times. Now I'm going to look up how to pronounce that word.
I'll look it up for you.
It bothers me. I'm looking at it right now.
You keep reading.
Dissident.
I'm looking it up.
Dissident. It's really a dissident. I already looked it up. Okay. Never seen that word before. Once the dissidents fired several times as indicated by the muzzle flashes. Once the dissidents fell to the ground, Rodriguez is captured on the video, advancing closer to the dissidents, leaning over with them.
It's decedents.
With his arm extended. Oh yeah, actually it is. That's true.
I know. Decedents.
Once the decedents fell to the ground, Rodriguez is captured on the video, advancing closer to the decedents, leaning over with them with his arm extended and firing several more times. As decedent one attempted to crawl away from Rodriguez, he followed behind her and fired again. After a brief moment, Rodriguez appeared to reload his firearm. At the same time, decedent one sat up. Once he reloaded, Rodriguez fired several times at decedent one. Rodriguez is then captured jogging back. So the detail that we have just read here. So this is describing her. He shoots them first. He shoots her and her boyfriend, Yaron. First, he doesn't manage to kill her. She tries to crawl away, as it says. Then he follows behind her and shoots again. She's still alive. She crawls. She sits up. He reloads his gun and then finally fires several more times to then eventually kill her. This is the Free Palestine action in action right here. The Free Palestine protest in action right here. The sickness, the absolute monstrosity in action right here. It's not just about sending a message. It's not just about, being violent and loud to draw attention. He fires at her. She's alive, crawling away. It's not enough for him to fire and to kill one person already. She crawls and he fires at her again after following her. She sits up and then he reloads his gun on purpose and fires at her several more times until she's dead. This is the brutality and the sickness in question. Is this about freeing Palestine? Is this about seeking justice? What the hell did she do to anybody? This guy is looking for an excuse, just using the Palestinians as an excuse to let out the most evil, the most vile, the most sick in him, to brutally kill two innocent people, to fire at them over and over again, to brutally kill them. What the hell did she do to this guy or to anybody?